I've never heard of this thing. How cool is that?
Very cool.
That's here all the time in Somerville. Comicazi.
Nerding out way too much over the fact that there's just like a ton of Star Wars figures in front of me, and they're all awesome. And I want that C-3PO, and I want that Admiral Akbar.
Lord of the Rings toy before the movies like even were like a gleam in Peter Jackson's eye.
Put these over there for now.
Is that the? Oh no, I'm thinking of the Time Machine where they pop out of the sand.
Oh god.
Completely different movie.
That was also terrible.
I liked that. Well, I liked them popping out of the sand.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I liked about the movie. That and like Stargate. Like I never really got into any of those
used
things.
to watch Stargate in
All of those shows with two syllable
but I've
names.
completely blocked it from my memory. It doesn't exist anymore.
I feel like maybe
very
I found
sad.
one thing of it. I know the premise. You go through a gate.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Scott Bakula. What is that?
Oh, Enterprise?
No, Enterprise. No, the one where he like jumps into people.
Oh.
You know too. Because I really want to. I feel like that's right in my wheelhouse. Like late Renaissance plus superheroes. How can you go wrong?
Hello, my name is Michael and welcome to the movie. So I've been reading comic books for as long as I can remember, and finding people who also shared that passion hasn't been easy. So when I made those connections, someone who was just as into Daredevil, the Punisher, Superman, we tend to stay friends for a really long time. And finding a store that cares about comics as much as we cared about comics wasn't always easy. You have your Barnes and Nobles, sure, you can go in there, but the people who work there aren't going to understand what makes Daredevil special, or why the Elektra death was interesting, or why Frank Miller has been on a downward slope ever since. You're just going to find people who just sell books. But when I found Comicazi, that all changed. I walked in, and it was like something new, something fresh. It was a community all in itself, where someone like me can walk in and just feel welcomed. Where I can go to the register and say, hey, do you have Daredevil blah blah blah? And not only will they have the answer, but they'll tell me why it's good, or why it's bad, or why I should read this instead. And their passion for what they do is contagious. So it's awesome when you get to go in there and see fans be fans, and even the people who work there be fans of what they sell. Not only do they sell the greatest comics, but they have the greatest events where people get to come together and just do what they love. They raise money for good causes. They get to bring cool bands from all over the world, but not world, but the country. And yeah, they get to do really cool stuff. And this is my letter to Comicazi, to its fans, to the people who work there, to you guys. So I hope you enjoy it. The store why do you think it's important that the store has a welcoming environment for everyone and not just a particular group of people?
I think it's really important for nerds, especially. I mean, now it's so popular to be a nerd, but it wasn't always. And it's nice to just have somewhere to go where you feel safe, I think, in expressing those kind of things. And I feel like only within the past maybe 10 years, it's suddenly become more commonplace to kind of, talk to your friends about X-Men or something like that. Whereas maybe 10, 15 years ago, you might have gotten seriously bullied for that. So maybe it's not as necessary as it was 15 years ago to have just a safe place, but it's nice to have a place where you can express it without, without fearing what people are going to think about you.
Yeah.
This is as bad as it gets, guys. All right, so the first time I tried to do graffiti, I went out with a bunch of my buddies, and we live in a town that's near another town that has a rock that overlooks our town, and it's Vernon, and fuck those guys. And every year they go up, and they paint their class here, because they're so cool. All right, so we got up there early with our school colors and a lot of spray paint, and we're like, all right, we're going to totally do this. We get off, like, each of us has 2 cans of spray paint in our hands. And just as we're about to start spray painting, we just hear, and in the middle of 15 stoned dudes, there's just a park ranger who had apparently walked up with us. And he's just like, what are you doing? You thought he was having a good time. We're all just like, time to crime. And he literally is just like, what? You can't do this. And this thing has years of paint on it. And we're like, sir, but can't we? He's like, no! And I turned to him, and again, public cool, I said, sir, you're standing on the outline of a 15-foot phallus. And he looked down, and he was standing on the balls of the biggest penis ever committed to rock. And if you ever just saw a man register that his life and summer job aren't going great, he just had his moment, just like, regardless, you guys can paint here. And we're like, all right, man, we'll go. And just as we're about to leave, he turns back, he's like, wait. Any of you kids bring any beer? We're like, no. He's like, damn it, nobody brings beer anymore. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
So what makes you like the store Comicazi?
Well, I think it's that not only do they have a good job of getting local comedians local comics in, I think they take risks. They actually bring in stuff that other people like. The only place I've ever been able to find a couple copies of I don't know, just some of the weirder, more obscure stuff. And also they're really good at recommending comics that you should be reading. I walked in one time and jokingly I was like, hey, my favorite comic is The Dark Knight, and they were like, well, you're gonna have to give me something else to work on, bro. And through 20 minutes of just actual care of about their product and about their store and about their fans, they felt like I walked out with Marvel 1602, which was hands down one of my favorite comics to this day, Y the Last Man, and I think maybe Transmetropolitan. They get you hooked on. They're able to actually give you a good recommendation, and you can walk out of here with something that's pretty awesome.
Do you feel comfortable just going to a store and be like, hey, let's just talk about comics for a couple minutes?
Yeah, I do. And what's funny is they kind of gauge how nerdy they get at you based on your responses. So they don't accidentally go too deep cut. So you don't walk away feeling like an idiot, which is my primary concern when I'm talking about comics with people. Where I'm like, well, that was actually in Man Thing issue 4, and I'm like, I don't know, Man Thing. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at a thing in the background here. Yeah.
But also, as a performer, like going to the store and like getting in thing, what's it like to perform here as a fan and a performer?
It's really distracting. It's the most distracting place I've ever been because I love doing comedy. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. But the thing is, if you're surrounded by things that I find equally, like I'm right now, you're interviewing me, right? I still want to read all these comics on the shelf. Like, I don't understand why you aren't just filming page by page as you read through some of these comics. Look at this cover. I've never heard of this thing. How cool is that?
Very cool.
That's here all the time in Somerville. Comicazi. I love working here. And also, it's because it's a comic book shop, it's the sort of people who I would normally talk to. So like it's a good audience, and that's how you know. Like, I had that AT-AT when I was a kid. It's like a weird nostalgia trip, and then I'm surrounded by people who are friends, you know?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Consciousness, hard to doubt memories, slips through barrier, we're fading. Holding on is hard when the dead leaves are falling down. Every day is enough.
Hey Ben, what's up?
Hey, not much. How you doing?
Doing good. So what makes Comicazi like the coolest place ever?
What doesn't make Comicazi the coolest place ever? Honestly, I mean, it's the choice in comics, in graphic novels, in toys and memorabilia, and all that's good, but a lot of it too to me is the community around it. Everyone who works here is A+, and they even band together to allow comedians, musicians, a little bit of both, play in the back room there. So there's always something going on here between what they've got in merchandise, the excellent staff, the community that surrounds it, and all the events that they do as well, like Drink and Draw or Comicazi. There's so much going on here that I could probably keep talking forever.
But as a fan, when you walk into this place, do you just feel like a sense of do you feel welcomed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I am here, everyone knows my name. It sounds like the big cheers, kind of. But yeah, everyone knows who I am. It's wonderful. I come in, they've got my comics ready every Wednesday.
How important is that to you for like a comic book shop to like know who you are?
It's important. I sometimes I come in even if I know I'm not going to pick anything up. I just like to walk around and soak it in, be around people that are equally open-minded, have a lot of varying interests. I could say a lot about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for saying some stuff about it.
Sure. Glad I could help.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. My name is Slam Cusack. I'm the events coordinator here at Comicazi. Just a few quick things before we get started. In case of an emergency, please use the exit located right over there. If you need to use the bathroom at any point, we do have a restroom 2 doors down with DC's The Spectre on it. And we also have water and soda available just for $1. What's happening? No one touch these! You can't touch these! You can't touch this!
Did you just say you can't touch this?
Can't touch these! Can't touch
That's my money!
And now, for your enjoyment, your host for the evening, Alex and Gideon!
The show we do every single month. I see some first timers here. Raise your hands if it's your first time at Comicazi. Yeah! I've seen you before. You're coming back for more.
Why do I like performing at Comicazi? Why do I like performing at a place like Comicazi? First of all, the community. You couldn't ask for a better community of people, and that's culturally with all the fellow geeks performing content about stuff that we enjoy and that they enjoy, but also artistically. This is a great great grassroots artistic community that has just come together seemingly overnight, it seems. It's not just us that they support. They support comedy groups and comedians, and artists, musicians, self-published authors all over the greater Boston area. And that's something you just can't find anywhere else. Because if there's one thing that puts puts a damper on a lot of people getting into the entertainment business, it's just resources. So it's just nice to see a store as fantastic as Comicazi supporting by just providing all these resources to all these artists so that they can follow their dreams.
Massachusetts, we are the Double Clicks, and we are so happy to be here on tour. My name is Angela, and this is my sister Aubrey on the cello. Lots of cellos. Yeah, we have lots of cello. Give it up for Unwoman, everybody. I think the first show we did with her was in San Francisco, but we met her at Geek Girl Con last year, which is a convention in Seattle about geek girls, aka the best. And she's just amazing, and there's just one of her, but there's lots of cello. I don't know. It's magic. And she's very awesome, and you should buy her albums and her tattoos and her matchbooks. It's cool stuff.
Matchbooks are free, you can't buy them.
Okay. Well, can we pretend to buy the matchbook and then?
Sure.
Okay. Figure it out. Okay. And yeah, welcome to Comicazi. I don't know how many of you have been here before, but it is amazing. Let's give them a hand for hosting us here. They offered to put up a curtain to make the stage, and I was just like, what? How dare you? I could stand in front of little Anakin Skywalker all night. Okay, that's not the best pitch for it, but it's cool. Yeah, there's Leia, there's Hoth Leia. It's good stuff. Yeah, okay. So this is a song about supervillain.
I think it's important that a store is like, no, it's a gender, girls can like superheroes the way boys can like superheroes, and boys can like the Powerpuff Girls if they really want to like the Powerpuff Girls. Do you think Comicazi really just gives that vibe? Like, if you like it, go for it.
Yeah, whatever you like, that's what you like, and that's okay. And it's actually, it's a good point about kind of the older crowd, because it's the generation that grew up when comics were kind of becoming popular, and they're really into it. And when they were growing up, it wasn't necessarily really cool to like the things that are now so mainstream and commonplace that everyone likes them. So it was really important to them to have that corner comic store where it cost, a nickel to get a comic, and that was your home, kind of, that was your safe place. And I can understand why it's hard to, imagine as you're getting older that it's becoming more commonplace, that you don't necessarily, it's okay to open up that safe place to other people. It won't become less safe, it'll just be more safe for more people. But I definitely can understand that kind of, that idea that you grew up with this was your place growing up, and now it's different. Change is scary.
Oh no, absolutely. I can, because some of the older guys I've talked to are just like, when I grew up reading X-Men, girls would make fun of me, but now I see it's like, no, it almost feels like they have to claim something that feels like it's theirs, that they feel like they have an ownership, but in the end, I feel like it's doing more harm than good.
It's absolutely, it's doing more harm. Maybe at the time, when they were growing up, and when it wasn't cool for them and girls made fun of them or guys made fun of them for liking these things, they kind of had to keep it to themselves, and they kind of had to have a little kind of clubhouse mentality about it. And it's hard, it's hard to see, I think. At any age it's hard to accept change, but especially for the older crowd that's had it in their lives longer, it's hard to say, okay, I'm gonna let you in now, and it's not, it's not gonna degrade what I have, it's not going to ruin what's already in place, it's just going to enhance it for more people.
I feel like, and this is gonna be a weird analogy, but let's say in the 40s, if a guy was gay, it was hard for him to express that because not a lot of people were out. So yeah, for older comic book nerds, it's like that where I can't really show what I love because I know people are gonna make fun of it. I feel like that went double for girls because you really had to be like, nope, no one can know this because I know no one's gonna like me and no guy's gonna date me or no one's gonna find me interesting.
Yeah.
And now that, like you said, it is so popular that people can just come and be like, yeah, I like it. And I think the fact that it's popular is good because more people feel inclined to be like, yeah, I like this. So what?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's nice to have a larger group of people that like all the things you love. I mean, who doesn't want to talk about, to as many people as possible, that thing that you love? I could talk off anyone's ear for hours about Lord of the Rings. You know, just throw them at me and I will never stop.
Yeah.
And I can see how it's scary that, because even like with Lord of the Rings especially, I mean, you do get a lot of fans, especially with the new Hobbit movies, who aren't necessarily, you know, fans of the book or something like that, and they're coming from a different place that you are, and you do start to question, like, well, do they like it as much as I do? You know, is it a legitimate enjoyment of the thing, like the way I enjoy it? But it's not really, you know, it's not really my place or anyone's place to judge how or why someone gets into something. I should be thrilled that anyone gets any sort of enjoyment out of the thing that I also get enjoyment out of. You know, it did so much for me as a child, and if it can do that for anyone else in any capacity, I should be and am very excited for that.
And I feel the word nerd now is becoming less of a dirty word, because before it was like nerd, it's like, well, it's just what I like, you know. And I feel like now stores like Comicazi, Comicopia give this where it's like, no, it's just one of your interests. You like these characters. You should have a place where you can talk about it freely. Like if you go to a library and talk about literature, you can talk about, you know, why the X-Men are important, or why, you know, something new from Vertigo came out, and why it's the coolest thing. Do you think that social element is just going to be improved by having more people accepted in these, like having such a welcoming environment in these comic book stores, that the social environment is just going to go up and up, and people are going to just be able to talk about these things?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I want there to be safe places where people feel like they can express themselves. And I feel like the more voices you have in something, the more chance there is to, you know, kind of delve and, you know, critique and improve. Whereas when you only have a couple voices, there's only so much that you can do. And I just feel like the more input kind of there is into, you know, fandom and into the actual creations, the better, because it can only kind of go upward.
And I've noticed when we were at the store, we noticed like little kids, we noticed like people our age in their 20s, and then I've noticed like girls, I noticed boys, I noticed adults. And I think that variety of people where you just get to talk and be like, oh no, let me show you something cool, or like even a kid who's just like, it can give you a whole new perspective of why something's interesting or why something should be, you know, seen.
Yeah, I think everyone's opinion of something is valid, which maybe is not a popular opinion, but, you know, it doesn't matter at what angle you're coming at it, or from what age you enjoyed it, or why you enjoyed it. If you just like it because the actor in it is really hot, I mean, it's not my place to judge you for that. And it's funny that you brought up the kids at the store, because I remember when we went into the back, there were some kids playing, you know, card games, and I thought they were just playing something that, you know, I had no idea what it was, and I could never imagine to guess. And I looked down, and they were playing Pokemon. They were just playing, like, the original Pokemon card game, and I was like, oh my god. And I actually, like, I kind of wanted to sit down with them and be like, sorry, what are you, like, who's winning, who's this, what are kind of strategies? And I'm sure that they would, you know, play circles around me if I ever tried to sit down and play them. They're probably much, much better in it than I am. But they kind of were born into a world where that already existed, and, you know, my generation kind of had to work up to it.
I think it's cool because when you talk about geeks and that idea of, like, you know, it's already there and acceptance, and you talk about it doesn't matter what you like as long as you can get into it. A lot of people our age, or even older, like we talk about the older crowd, can be kind of jaded, like, oh, you know, I was there when it started, or like, oh, it's like, but the Star Wars prequels is a great example of like older fans being like, that's stupid, and kids going like, no, it's great. Like, why? What I don't understand what you don't like about it. And I think having that place where those two people can meet and they can have an honest conversation of like, well, this is why I really like it, or it's like, this is why I dislike it. Do you think that that's also good to stimulate conversation and having a place to do that?
Yeah, it's hugely important, being able to cross those kind of boundaries. I'm guilty of this as well. It's this sort of hipster phenomenon where if there's something that you like and then maybe 5 years later someone gets into it for some different reason. Maybe they made a movie out of it, you know, it's gone mainstream, and suddenly there's all these new fans, and you shouldn't, but you kind of start to judge their quality. And I really think it's important to get over that.
Oh boy.
Thank you for coming out tonight to Smile and Error. My name is Slam Cusack. This is Comicazi, the general manager of Comicazi, and we just have a few things to say before we get started with tonight's event. In case of an emergency, please use the exit located right over here. If at any point you have to use the restroom, we do have one available, the second door on the left featuring DC's The Spectre on it. We also have water and soda available for you for just $1 right up at the front, so feel free to go through the curtain and get yourself a tasty beverage. And I think that's it. Anything else you'd like to contribute?
Live from Comicazi, it's Saturday night! Oh, this is... Where's Jeff, you ask? Fuck Jeff! Jeff had to go to a wedding like a bitch. It's okay, I'm over it. I'm not hurt. Pull it together. Hi guys, if through some small miracle you don't know who I am, my name is Matt. I'm hosting the show. It's called Smile and Error. I recently had a good friend ask me if my show was called Stop and Frisk. Nope. Didn't call it that. The crowd is not yet white enough to call it that. But we're getting there. It's a comic book store. I'll give you guys just a very quick layout of what's going to happen here. You're going to see a lot of weird shit. Some of it will be my fault. All of it will be indirectly my fault because I handpicked these weirdos to come out and do stuff for you. We have a show here, basically once a month. And they always have weird themes. The theme for this one, in case you couldn't put it together from the audio context clues, is Pulp. That was the Pulp Fiction soundtrack that I was so cleverly playing there. You can clap if you'd like. It's a good movie. I didn't make it, but you can still clap for it. Yeah. Pulls off face, reveals he is Quentin Tarantino. Damn, that'd be a hell of a way to start this show. Yeah, so we're doing pulp stuff, weird B-movies, strange counterculture artifacts, action figures, novelty records, that kind of weird stuff. So with that in mind, I asked you guys all the question of the evening, which is tradition here at Smile and Error. We've done it the past 2 times, which basically makes it a tradition that will never die. I'm going to read some of those now, and then I'm going to tell you a weird pop culture story from my own life. And then we'll start the show proper, and we'll rock and roll. It'll be a real good time. Let's see what you guys had to say in response to my very, very brilliantly phrased question. It was, if you had to be some sort of, movie monster, what monster would you be? And where would you haunt/terrorize? So some answers here include, I would be the Phantom, and I would haunt the Muppet Theater. You get huge points with me for anything Muppet related, so we're already sold. Dracula's daughter, parentheses, she's a hot lesbian. And they would haunt the community hot tub at Inman Oasis, obviously. That question is way gayer, more sexually active, and cooler than I am, so I don't really get it, but I've heard of lesbians. Monster, Xenomorph, which is the alien from Alien, for those of you that have, sexual contact or whatever. That's the Sigourney Weaver eating monster. It's a scary monster. And for some reason, it says they terrorize the rig, which is what the spaceship is called, again, for those of you who have dreamt of sexual contact. I read it as Rio, which I'm going to go ahead and editorialize is a way better movie. Just like Jason in space, just that monster trying to hide places, but it's just a beach full of beautiful people. Everyone's just like, what? It's 6 feet tall and covered in black slime. It's like the sun never sets here. What is it doing? It's just tanning. The Kraken, the sea, uncreative but fair. Ooh, political. Monster, Sarah Palin. Haunt, Oval Office. Someone's high. This one just says, giant tapeworm. They spelled tapeworm, T-A-P-E-W-U-R-M. And the location, Space McDonald's. This one I'm sure I'm reading correctly, actually. And this is, so you're familiar with Alien? Monster here is Predator, not in Rio, Milwaukee. It's quite an AVP mashup potential there. Monster, I don't know who this monster is. Dr. Claw?
Oh, come on, Inspector Gadget.
Oh. You guys think I don't book talent for these shows? That wasn't planned. Dr. Claw, you goddamn nerds, would haunt hipster beard shops. I'm on board. What do we got here? Oh, Jesus. This is the scariest one we've come across so far. I think we'll agree. The monster is Ghost Memory of Your Freedom. Haunt spot, hashtag haunt spot, the DMV. Those of you who know the comics for the evening won't have a hard time IDing this one. I'll leave it at that. This person would become, quote, the Phil Spector hair monster, and they would haunt Wrecking Crew recording sessions and exciting trials. That one might need some explanation for those of you born after the Paleolithic era. Don't know what that means. It's a lot of... Ooh, so this is more accessible pop culture burn here. Monster, Aerosmith, haunt spot, my ears. And with that, everyone, give yourselves a round of applause for writing all the best jokes you're going to hear tonight. The Predator Takes Milwaukee is a film I would pay money to see. Right, I would cancel this show and go to the theater for that. That's phenomenal. I'm going to waste a little more of your time right now, guys, with a quick story about pop culture from my own life. Shut that shit down, bring up the phenomenal.
Hey guys, my name is Matt, and I produce and host the Smile and Error comedy shows here, along with my friend Jeff Wiles. And before that, I actually did a whole bunch of shows with a great guy named Kevin Harrington, who did the Geek Week shows here. And both shows have just been, they've been a joy to host and put together because of what Comicazi does to support the small shows that go on here. Like between Sam and Tom, everything is taken care of when I come in here. Like at other venues, even bigger, like fancier ones, you know, you got to bring in your own stuff and work out the sound, and there's a million details that you have to take care of as the producer that they don't give a crap about. Here, when we come in, they turn the lights on and we're ready to go. Like anything we want to do for setup is just extra. That's our call. The chairs, the sound, everything is just ready to go, and they don't care about the risks we take. They don't care if we do something weird one night, if we're trying out new jokes, new comedy, bringing up our friends, the people that we care about, that we think are good. They don't interfere. They just support us over and over and over again. And if we have a slow night, if we have a weird show, if something goes crazy, they're there because they are as excited about what we're doing as we are, it feels like, and it's just a joy to host here as a result.
Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Portland, Oregon, it's the Double Clicks! You and I are kinda like Romeo and Juliet, in that I'm romantic and sweet, and you're an immature loser with friends who are unreasonably violent. You and I are kinda like Jim and Pam, season 1, in that I have a job and a boyfriend, and you have a kinda weird thing with Jell-O. In these stories we want to know, will they or won't they? But with us, I know the answer, we won't. In these stories we want to know, sing along, will they or won't they? But with us, I know the answer, we won't. You and I are kinda like Spike and Buffy, in that you have a terrible accent and my house is full of weapons. You and I are kinda like Kaylee and Simon, in that I like spaceships and have a really great mind, and your whole darn family is crazy. You and I are kinda like Starbuck and Apollo, in that after all this is going to end in an anticlimactic way. You and I are kinda like Starbuck and Apollo, and that after all this unresolved sexual tension, emotional investment in time and money. This is going to end in an anticlimactic way. You and I are kinda like Mulder and Scully, and that you're paranoid, and even when you're right, I look like the smart one. You and I are kinda like Sansa and Joffrey, in that I own some lovely dresses, and you should shut up. In these stories we want to know, will they or won't they? But with us, I know the answer, we won't.